All right guys, welcome back to Mr. Post Frame. This is going to be part 3 of this deck build series. So we got our footings in, we framed it all up. Now we're going to put all of our decking on, and I'll show you how I finish out my rim board and why I left that off. But before we get started, you guys, we build post frame barndominiums and design them all over the country. So if you're interested in designing your own barndominium, garage, shop, whatever the case is, reach out to us, design at Mr. Post Frame, we can help you out. Also, if you want to self-build your own post frame home, barndominium, shop, garage, we have a Patreon group where you can join, be a part of a community of other self-builders. We talk about different building topics every month. We bring on special guests. It's a great community to get the do's and don'ts when you're DIYing your own barndominium. So check that out, but let's go ahead and jump into the show. Alright guys, it is time to start putting decking on this deck. Decking on a deck, can you imagine that? Why would we do that? Anyway, it just sounded funny when I said it, but we are using composite deck, and figuring out where to start is always the most difficult part, making sure you start square. Our deck is pretty good. That back corner there is a little bit out of square. But I have an idea kind of how I'm going to do it. The manufacturer says to start at the outside edge and work your way back, which if you were using treated lumber, decking boards, that would be fine because you can rip your last piece. I don't want to do that. I want a full piece along the house because we're picture frame. We're going to have 3 picture frames on here, and what a picture frame is, just a box. And I'm not doing anything crazy fancy. Probably going to use butt end joints in that back corner, but I'll probably miter these outside ones where you're actually going to see them and everything. But that's up to you whether you want to do that. I'm going to start at the house, and I'm going to work my way out to the edge. Now I left all of these joists long so that when I get out there to the edge, a couple boards away, I'll be able to figure out exactly where I need to cut, put my outside rim board on, and then I know I'll have the right overhang with my composite decking. You can get, with this stuff, you can get about a 1/2 inch overhang, which is what I want to maximize at. Just, I think it looks a little bit better if you can overhang just a little bit. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start with the middle section, square that up, work out to the edge, figure out where I need to cut these joists, snap a line, cut them all, put my end rim board on, and then I'll do the other outside section. So I will have to make sure that I'm keeping my lines lined up as they go across. However, I'm going to have a double picture frame on those 2 inside portions, and you'll see that once we get to there. And the reason is because the length of this deck, the decking my parents got comes in 12-foot lengths, and so I needed to gain about 1 foot, so I did that by adding a double picture frame on the inside portion. So there's 2 outlet boxes that just didn't get left up high enough, so I'm just going to notch this deck board here and over there at that one, and then I can always use some matching caulk if I don't cut it perfect. But I don't want to cut that box because it's OSB in there, and then I'll expose the bottom, which could end up leading to potential rot. So all of this deck tape, I haven't done this one because I have this Joist Runner on it. That's the only one I haven't done. But this tape is to keep moisture from sitting on top of your floor joists. So it's a rubber barrier. You put it on, deck boards go over it. It's kind of self-sealing, so when you run your screw through, it'll seal around it. But then if water gets under there, it's not going to over time rot your board. So it's one of those places where it won't dry out as fast if water gets under there. So that's all done. So I'm going to get this notched out, put in place, and then we will start running deck boards out this way. Alright, so like I told you, I'm starting at the house. So I have my line snapped where the edge of my first board is all the way across. And how I got that is right here where these outlet boxes are. This is LP Diamond Coat, and so this is an OSB product. And this goes down too far, so I didn't want to notch this and expose that. So instead I notched this with the gap that I needed back here. So notch this, put it in here, then I set up my Stabila layout laser and lined it up with the board here and over there at that outlet box to get my straight line all the way across here. So now that I have that, I can put my first course down and then I can build off of that. So that was the hardest part. I'm going to get something to eat, and then it's supposed to be like 90, 92 today. Hopefully we can get a good amount of this done today. Alright guys, so we got our first board up against the house in, and these, I don't know if you can see that, it's the sun's pretty bright. These are just color match screws that we use for that, and all I'm doing is one right in the middle, and then we're using the VersaClip hidden fastener system. So these are solid boards, they don't have a groove, and then the next ones will all have a groove on both sides. So these are starters, so you just butt those up on each joist, screw them in, and then this will slide in, and then once you get going you use a double-sided clip right there, and then so you slide that in to this edge, and then the next side slides in. So a lot of work, time consuming, but it'll be sweet. Alright, it is so hot. I've been wetting this towel, wrapping around my head and neck. Finally getting a little shade back here, but the house is blocking the wind. Can't even talk straight. Anyway, got this middle section all ran. And I attached this board, this 2x4 here, to my ladder where my picture frames are going to be. So I just butted them all up. So this is nice and straight. That side I'm going to have to cut a straight line. But I told you I didn't want to have any ripped boards with this composite, so I waited to cut my tails. As you can see, I have them all marked in lines. I don't have a line on that one. Lines struck down the side. I don't think I can do that one because that board was in the way. But now I can go through and cut all these tails off, and 2 more boards will fit perfect with a 1/2 inch overhang. So I'll cut these off, put my rim board on, and then when I put my 2 last pieces of decking on, it will overhang a 1/2 inch, which is what I want. So now I got to do the awful task of cutting all those. I don't know, there's probably 30 of them or so. But coming along, this is a lot of work. You can see right here, you slide, once you get your board in place, you slide the clip in, the screw goes in right down there, and then the next board groove will sit in there. You kind of got to bring it in at an angle and then hammer it in with a block. I can tell you, without these joist runners, this would have been a real pain. I would rather have the joist runners for the decking than putting all the joists up. Even though that was amazing having those, putting the deck boards on, and they told me that. They said you'd actually like using for the decking more. And I can guarantee you they're right. It's because they've done it a few times. But if I was going to build decks all the time, I would 100% have a set of those. Actually, probably 2-3 sets of them. But I'm going to get cutting all these tails off, because that's what I got to do next. All those measurements, and what that is me measuring from the edge of this board to each groove all the way down, and then I went down there and measured off that same board that I set with my laser and made marks all the way across. So every few boards will snap 3 lines, and that way we have a line to make sure we're staying straight. Because if you think about it, it's like, how could you possibly get off? But if you're a 16th off, a 16th off, a 16th off, now you're 3/16 off. When you get out here to the edge, you want this to be nice and consistent, so your gap between your picture frame board and all these is equal. And when you have these breaks, it's real easy, even though it doesn't seem like it, to get off. So y'all might think I'm crazy, but when this is done and you look down this deck, all of the lines will be lined up, and it'll look good, and that's what's important to me anyway. So we got one section left, and then we can lay in all our picture frames. What I'm choosing to do, if you look down there, I attached a 2x4 so we can just butt our boards up against that. And then here, where our picture frame is, I'll just leave them lay long, snap a line, and cut them with my saw.
It's hot.
Alright, so we made our cut, dropped those 2 picture frames in. I gotta cut them off out there. And then I got these 2 in right here. This isn't like, I don't know, this is just what we wanted to do. We wanted a board to run all the way across the bottom, so there's no 45s there. Then this is just going to run and die in there, and then we're going to have a board go all the way to the end. All the corners will be mitered, but these will just all stay clean. I think it was just easier for me that way. Personal preference. So we got this mitered over here already. So a miter board, stick it in here. This fence, which is concreted in, I think I will have to notch around that just a little bit, but there will be a railing that goes to here and down on the deck. And then we'll miter these corners. That was a pretty big job. What do you think, Dad?
Thank you. Good job.
Give you guys a breakdown of the deck. It's 12 feet wide, almost 40 feet long. These are 12-foot sections, and then I broke it up with a double linear break kind of here, picture frame kind of deal. Looks real nice. It's the best way that I could figure out how to make this work with the 12-foot boards. Mitered the corners where you can see them. Stairs will eventually go down right there. Alright, this decking that we used is from Lowe's. It's a Decorator brand. It's all composite. We used a hidden fastener system, which at first was a challenge. It looks great. You just kind of got to get the hang of it. But that's kind of the basis of this deck. 40 foot long, 12 foot out. There'll be a aluminum railing, black aluminum railing around the whole thing. But I'll take you down and kind of show you the framing. So we did a post and beam. So those are 6x6s with a 6x6 beam. The spacing's just under 8 foot, right around 8 foot spacing. This first bay is a little bit shorter, just the way I had to work it out because I wanted it, the door here to be centered between the posts. And then we have 2x10 joists, 16 inches on center. We did some blocking down the middle. Here's kind of our ladder system where our brakes are up in the top. I think at some point my parents might have me put some metal ceiling in here with the interior gutter. I don't know when they'll do that. They did talk about it, but we've opted not to do it at this point just because of cost. If you guys are interested in the cost of this deck, just materials, let us know. If we have enough people that want kind of a breakdown, I will do a dedicated video to the cost of this, kind of a time-lapse cost video like we do on our Barndominiums. So if there's enough interest in that, I will definitely do it. This was quite a job. I will say, it turned out amazing. For you guys that build decks for a living, props to you guys. I've built quite a few decks, but never a second story. Which brought some extra challenges in. Green treated lumber was heavy. The widths on these 2x10s weren't as even as I would like them to, so I had to use what I had. I had a hand planer, so I'd line them up, plane them all. The final video will be the stair build out and the railing. That's just not in yet, so once that's in, I'll come back down and finish that all up. But as always, guys, we appreciate you watching. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, share us with your friends, and we will catch you on the next video.